Hi all, welcome to this module 6 of Python. In this module, we'll be talking about decorators, generators, and the regular expressions. Okay, so let's first start with decorators and generators. Okay, and then we will jump onto the regular expressions. Okay, so what is a decorator? Okay, so let's say you have very specific um calculation or a functionality, okay, and you need to basically re-execute it multiple times, okay. And how do I do that? Let me just show that. Okay, so let's say I have a function, okay. This function is, let's say, calculate, okay, and this calculate the square, okay. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say square of the number, okay, and then I'm gonna say square list, okay, and I'm just going to do a list comprehension, okay, num star star 2, okay, for num in range, okay, of 1 comma max num plus 1. Okay, so this function does this thing, okay, and finally what it does, okay, it it will return me, okay, it returns the square list, okay. So that is what this function does, okay. Now let's say I wanted to do something, okay. I wanted to calculate the time it has taken, okay, for calculating the sum, okay. So I'm going to have this also. I'm going to say print I am in this function, okay. And let's run this, okay. Let me first run this, okay. I need to call this function also, okay. So since I have just defined it, so I'll call this square, and then I'm going to say calculate the square, okay, of a number, okay. And I'm going to say print, okay. Now let me just run it, okay. Let's run this code, okay. It's asking me to save. Let's save this. I'm going to save this module 6 part 1, okay. Now something wrong, calculate square is not defined. What is that? Define, okay. Okay, now it is fine. What is wrong with this? Square list is not defined. Sorry guys. Okay, so okay, right, let me run this. Okay, now it just, what it does, it basically generator object at this specific location, and it is giving me a generator object, okay. uh, okay, now if I can always convert it to the list, or a generator, and or I can take I can convert directly, or I can directly yield the result from this, okay, which we have seen as part of the previous session. But what I'm trying to show here is I'm trying to calculate the time, okay. So how I'm gonna do that, guys? I'm gonna say I'm calculating the time, okay. So what I need, I'm gonna import this time function, okay, or time module, okay. And the moment I go inside this, I'm gonna say start, Okay, and I'm going to say time dot time. So I'm going to call this time function from this time module. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is, after this square has been done, okay, I'm going to say some time for sleep. Okay, let's say I give some 5 milliseconds for the sleep. Okay, and then I'm gonna say and is equal to time dot time. So basically I'm starting and I'm ending here. Okay, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna calculate also. Okay, I'm gonna print. Okay, calculate square time, CALC square time. So what would be the time for this function, guys? The time would be end minus start, right? End minus start. Okay, but I have to convert it into a string. Okay, I have to convert it into a string. Okay, how do I convert it into a string? str, and then I will also multiply by 1000 to convert it into milliseconds. Okay, right? So basically I'm calling this function and I'm just take printing the time it takes to complete this function. Okay, so let's run this. So I'm in this function. It will now wait for 5 milliseconds and then it does something. Okay, and then basically it is printing the end minus start. Okay, time. Why it is printing a so big time? Okay, it is printing a very huge time, guys. I don't know why. Okay, let me print this outside. Okay, outside the function call. Okay, so let's say, should I return it before or should I return it after the return? Let's say I do here. Okay, let me run this again, and it's not defined. Okay, it has to be within this. Okay, I'm just trying to see where to have this. If I do this end minus start. Okay, let me do this, guys. Okay, let me do this. Okay, does it makes any difference? Okay, let me do this and run it again. 1 second, guys. Okay, so now it gave me, this is the millisecond time it took to finish up the entire thing. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so now the thing is, okay, so this is one of the function. Let me take one another function. Okay, let's copy paste this entire thing. Okay, and let's calculate the cube. Okay, right, now everything remains same. I'm going to change some of the variables here. Okay, and calculate cube. Okay, calculate cube time. Okay, and everything remains the same. I'm going to call the function cube now. Okay, I'm going to say the same thing, calculate cube of 5. Okay, and let me run this again, guys. Okay, it will first go into this loop, then it prints this, then it is printing a square object. Okay, basically it is calling calculate square and is printing that generator object, and then it's for the cube, and then it's executing the cube function also. Okay, now if you have seen these guys, so what we are doing, we are typically writing few lines of a code all the time. Now if you see this, I'm writing start time, print, time to sleep, and end. I can remove all of this, okay, into a function, okay, which can be used as a decorator function. Okay, so let's define a function, and I'm going to say time it. Okay, and I'm going to pass the function name. Okay, now what it basically does, guys, okay, uh, since this is a decorator function, okay, and what typically we'll have a wrapper over here. Okay, so I'm going to call this a wrapper function, and this wrapper is basically will n number of positional arguments, okay, and n number of keywords argument. Okay, okay, so if you remember this, right, so we had spoken about positional arguments and the keyword arguments, so is the same thing. Okay, now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna say I'm literally trying to work on with this. Okay, so I am in function. Okay, so I am in, so I'm going to print this. Okay, then I'm going to add this, and I'm going to say func name dot underscore underscore name. We have seen this variable also, right, guys? Okay, and then I'm going to say start. Okay, right, and then I'm going to say I'm going to capture the return, what is going to happen from this. So for this, I'm going to call this my function with the keywords arguments. Okay, it will call on this function. Okay, and then basically I'm going to say this time sleep. I'm going to do that time to sleep. Then I'm going to do this end time. Okay, and then I'm going to do this. Okay, and I'm going to say this as func underscore name dot underscore underscore name underscore underscore. Okay, and then I'm going to say plus took, then plus. Okay, and then finally I'm going to say plus milliseconds, right, milliseconds to complete. Okay, right, okay, and then finally I'm going to return the value, whatever is written by the function. Okay, I don't need this, guys, anymore. Okay, now okay, similarly I don't need any of this now. Okay, and I don't need any of this. Okay, So now my function looks very clear, okay, and everything is over here, okay. Now I'm gonna return from the decorator also. So basically what I'm going to say is, okay, wrapper function, and I'm gonna return from the wrapper, okay. Right, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my decorator, okay. So my decorator is time ID, okay, right. If I run like this, okay, nothing will happen. Invalid syntax or something is wrong, guys. Okay, I think this should be fine now. So there is something wrong over here, guys. Let me just check. 1 second. What is wrong with this, guys? 1 second, let me check again. Okay, it should run. Now what is the problem over here? There is some syntax problem which it is being shown. Okay, now let me run. Okay, so there is something wrong in this. If I delete this, okay, what's happening? Is it fine now? What is the invalid syntax? What is happening, guys? Okay, I don't know why it is. 1 second, guys, what is the problem? Okay, okay, fine. I don't know what's the problem, okay, because it has to take the end this thing because it is within the function, but not sure what's happening. But nevertheless, we will look into it later. Now, what I'm going to say is, once I call this decorator function, okay, okay, so let me call this decorator function, guys, okay. Now, if I call my decorator function, okay, I have to call it like this, okay, and let me call only for this and run the code. So now if you see this, I am in cal root square function and it will, something is wrong, unexpected operand type, none type and string. Okay, now what is the problem? None type and string. Let me run it again. I'll just change the milliseconds to 2 so that we will not wait for so long for the error to pop up. Okay, so let me just do this. And I'm getting some error saying that unsupported operand types plus none type and string function underscore underscore func name. Let me just try to remove this, guys. Okay, so let me just do this. Okay, and I'm gonna say print, and I'm gonna do like this again. Tuk tuk tuk. Okay, and let me run this. There's some problem in. Okay, so this is the problem. Sorry, guys. Okay, now I could understand the problem. Okay, okay, let me run this, guys. Now it should run fine. Right, so it's running fine. Okay, now if you see this, calculate score to took this much of milliseconds to complete, right? Now since I already only used on top of my square function, let me use it on my cube function also, so that the piece gets called, the decorator piece gets called for the other function also. Okay, now it is getting generated and executed, so it takes this amount of time for this function. Okay, I can have any other function, guys. I can, let's say I have a function to check mail ID. Okay, I'm gonna call this as check mail ID, and what I'm going to pass, I'm going to pass the mail ID. Okay, and I'm going to say status is equal to this. Okay, and I'm going to say if, one second, if, and I'm going to give this mail underscore ID dot count of at the rate. Okay, is equal to 1. Right, do this. What I need to do, I need to print the status valid mail ID, else I'm gonna say status invalid mail ID. Okay, and finally I'm gonna return the status. Return the status. Okay, and I can say if I run without this, okay, nothing will happen uh, because I have to call this function and call it with the decorator also. Okay, I'm gonna call this as check mail ID, and I'm gonna say check mail ID, and I'm going to pass something like kumar@gmail.com. Okay, and let's time this function, guys. Okay, or use a decorator. So now it will run and show me the output. Something is wrong, check mail ID is not defined. Okay, it's a small d, a small mistake from my side, guys. What is Kumar is not defined? My bad, guys. Okay, okay, So let it run, and now we will be able to see the results. Okay. Now let's talk about okay, so this is all what we wanted to cover as part of the decorators. Okay, so let me do one thing. Okay, let me just print, and I'm gonna say okay, decorators ends. Okay, now okay, this is the part of it. Okay, now let's go and define the generators. Okay, now let me talk about this generators. Okay, now we have seen the generators. Okay, now let me just say generator define generator location generator. Okay, now this location generator, okay, I'm gonna say yield. Okay, and I'm gonna say Bangalore. Okay, yield is something like a return statement in your function. Okay, for generator it is a yield. Okay, and I'm gonna say Chennai. Okay, I'm gonna say all of this. Okay, Mumbai, I'm gonna say Kolkata. Okay, and I'm gonna say Mysore. Okay, now let's create a generator object, guys. Okay, now how do I create a generator object? Okay, create a object. Let's call this object, okay, generator location. Okay, and I'm gonna say this, right? Okay, now I'm gonna print. If I print the location, and I'm gonna print this location. Okay, let me run and show the output to you. Okay, okay, I should have commented all of this, otherwise it takes a lot of time. Okay, I've done that now. Okay, so it says the location generator object is there. Okay, I can iterate through the generator object, guys, right? So how I'm gonna operate? I'm gonna say print, and you know, right, location 1, and I'm gonna say, let me just call this as location. Okay, maybe easier for us. Okay, dot underscore underscore next underscore underscore, right? So this is my generator object. I'm gonna do this 3 4 5. Okay, I'm gonna say 2 3 4 5, and let me run this. Okay, let me run this. Now it has printed all the 5 location. Okay, if I do one more time, guys, what will happen? It will throw me an error, right? Okay, so let's do that. Okay, it definitely threw me an error. It threw me an error called stop iteration. Okay, so how do I handle this, guys? We are now aware that we have to use try catch blocks, right? We have to use try and catch blocks, right? And what exception will get caught, guys? Except I'm gonna call, we are catching this function, this. Okay, So I'm gonna say stop iteration, and I'm gonna say print all values read from generator object. Okay, generator location. Okay, now let's run this, guys. Now it should run without any issues. Okay, all values are read. Now let's do another thing, guys. Let's define a range. Okay, let's say I have another function called yRange. Okay, and I'm gonna say something max number, which I'm going to pass. What this is going to do, guys, I'm saying num is equal to 1. Okay, and I'm going to call this loop while num is less than or equal to max underscore num. Okay, right, and I'm going to say yield is for return type for generators, right? Yield, then I'm going to increment num is equal to 1, num plus is equal to 1, right? And finally I'm going to say okay, I'm done. I'm going to store this. Okay, I'm going to store this, or I'm going to call this y range of max of 10. Okay, okay, now I will also have to print, right? Because now numbers, let's say numbers, this will create a generator object for me. Okay, let me say that, create generator object. So now finally I'm gonna get my generator object here. Okay, now I will have to retrieve the elements. Okay, so I can always say one by one, or I can use something very specific. Okay, so let's do with something specific. Okay, what I'm gonna say is retrieve elements. Okay, I'm gonna say try, and I'm gonna say while of 1. Okay, and now I'm gonna say print what, current numbers. Okay, and number dot underscore next underscore, right? So I'm gonna print this, right? And now we know, right? So try is there, so it will stop at this. Okay, and I'm gonna say this print the same thing, all number reads from the generator object, all number read from generator object, right? Y range. Okay, now let's run this code. Okay, something is wrong, guys. What has happened? Okay, now if you see this, it is printing all the 10 numbers. Okay, and it is saying all numbers read from the generator object, right? So basically I'm creating a generator object with this function. Okay, I can define some function like this and hard code it, or I can define my own function, generate it, and put it into a generator object. Basically yield is the keyword to be remembered. Okay, now range is something from min and max, right? So what I'm going to say now is min number and max number. Okay, right? Min and max number, I'm initially defining my num to the min number. Okay, and then I'm going to say something that num plus is equal to something blah blah and all. Okay, So everything remains same, but here I'm going to pass two parameters, 1 comma 10. Okay, or I can say 3 comma 10. Okay, so it will, I can now define what would be a maximum and minimum number, right? And then I am going to execute that, right? So let's run this. Okay, so it starts from 3 and finishes to 10, right? Now I can also have a step, okay, that I wanted to first start with 3, then 5, then 7, and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say step num is equal to 1, okay, and here I'm going to pass, okay, I'm not going to pass anything. I'm going to, okay, let me change that. Okay, let me change it to 2. Okay, now I'm going to start with 1 and every alternate number I'm going to print. Okay, let's do that. So it will say 1 3, why it is 1 3 5 and all of this thing. Okay, my num plus is equal to step num. Okay, so this is my step num. Let me run this again. Okay, so it prints 1 3 5 3 7. Okay, 1 3 5 7 9. Okay, so this is how it prints the my generator object. I can convert it to a list or any other data type, right? So let's say that I wanted to convert this to list. Okay, I'm going to say list, and then I'm going to say, okay, num is this, please convert it to the list. Okay, please convert it to the list, and then what I'm going to do, print, okay, number list. Okay, and I'm going to print this, print the number list, right? Now let's run this same code. Now if you see this, I'm getting this as a generator object, okay, and I'm going converting it to the list, and exactly the same output I'm getting, right? So this finishes our first module 6 first part, where we have covered the generators and the decorators. In the second module, we'll be talking about regular expressions, guys. Okay, thanks for joining the session.